All right. Um, One of the things that like to work on, things that will make the world a better place. Testing some different concepts when it comes to my steam pulse engine. I found something that is very similar in shape and in strength to a jet engine. The a very specific part of a jet engine, though. It's um, the combustion chamber. This right here is a Wix filter. On the inside, it's got holes on the inside, and it's not enough. Not quite. There needs to be just a few more holes in it, but it's already got holes in it, and this one, anyway, is the right size, actually. Now, there's no turbine attached to it or any of the other frozen connections. Again. Anyway, I need a special can opener. I can't exactly go to Walmart and buy the type that I need with everything that's going on here. The type of can opener that I need is the sideways cutting type. You know, the one where you can cut the sides and make it so you can lift it off without burning your fingers and stuff like that. That's because once I've cut this off to do to the interiors of this what I need to get in order to make it run, then I'm going to want to replace this. Now, the other thing is the type of can openers that go around the top here, not deep enough. None of them are. And this lip on it, if you notice, they tried to basically mount the top with the lip of it, like with a soda can. This part also does not extend beyond the circumference of the cylinder itself. Now, some of these filters are made out of stainless steel, and some of them are just made out of painted steel. This one says it's a heavy-duty filter, and in a lot of those cases, those do end up being stainless steel. And the fact that this has literally been sitting in a garage for potentially over a decade and there is no rust on it also leads me to believe that it might be made out of stainless steel. Stainless steel generally has chromium in it and also nickel, which helps it to withstand high temperatures. Now, what I want to do with this, a lot of y'all about how I make my prototypes out of garbage. I got these the other day from Big J. A couple of different ones. There's this one here, and then I have the smaller one. And there's a guy on YouTube. There's a guy on YouTube who actually has made several different variations of jet engines with oil filters. You don't get to really listen to what he's saying because he's in China or Korea or somewhere where they use that style of character in their writing. It is different from Japanese. It's definitely not a Japanese video. Um, the kanji are entirely different. So, there's also a guy who made one out of a propane tank. He basically took a design for a model jet engine or a miniature jet engine that they're made for like RC airplanes and stuff, but it's an actual functional jet engine. And this guy in Australia actually blew it up, not like exploded it, but took a propane tank, which is about 12 times the size of the little dinky engine, and he made a larger version of that dinky engine out of a propane tank. And I want to say 6 propane tanks outside. Most of them, they still have the top on them. They're unsafe for me to do anything like that with, so I'm not going to at the moment. But once the top is removed, which several inert if I was to shoot it with a 50 caliber incendiary round, it would go through one side and out the other, and it wouldn't make a fireball. There would be no gas pressure in it because it's got a hole that big around in it. It's open all the time. There's no propane in it. Or a jet turbine that was designed for Chrysler. Now, being as it's a jet engine and it's a turbine engine that has very little noise, they actually created a noise so that you could hear the vehicle because people didn't know that their vehicle was on. That's how quiet it was. And then they had a recompensator thing where hot air actually explodes a lot easier. It combusts a lot easier than cool air. And as we all know, the air that's going in is going to be cool, and the air that is being exhausted is going to be hot. So basically, what they do, they take exhaust pipes that'll go in and exhaust pipes that'll come out, and then they bend them so they cross over each other. And it depends on, like with the Chrysler car, it's actually a different type of unit. But basically, what you're doing is you are taking the hot air from the exhaust and you are heating up the cool air that's going into the intake. And that gives you better fuel efficiency. Now, with my design, you really want to have a small jet engine because you're only really using the jet engine portion, whether it's a steam pulse jet or an actual turbine jet. And I don't want to have it be a turbine jet. Just want it to be able to turn a turbine well enough to create electricity, which isn't too difficult. For the most part, the steam that is being ported out of it, that's where most of the thrust is coming from, and the heat from that is actually coming from the jet engine. The best jet engine to use for this, believe it or not, is actually a pulse jet. The reason for that is because it gets hot the fastest, it stays hot the easiest, and it will burn itself to pieces if it doesn't have a water jacket. If it doesn't have water being sprayed on the exterior of it, it will destroy itself after several hours. However, and that's with stainless steel. However, if you use a water jacket on it, you can use it for years. If you make it out of thicker stuff than they use just for these little dinky models, because they're just trying to make them thin-walled and easy on weight so that they can send these things up there on a airplane that they built that weighs 63 grams. I mean, it's not a heavy thing. And the engine, if you're putting it on a balsa wood frame and basically a Reynolds wrap heat shrink thing, you're investing a lot of extra weight in that engine and in the fuel and in the engine. I know I said engine twice, but that's because I just thought of a pulse jet engine sitting on top of the Salamander. This is a World War II jet aircraft from Germany, also called the Volksjager, or the Heinkel. That's not right. Well, the point here is that this is, hello, George Russell. This is the stuff that I'm into. See, what I found out about the Chrysler car and also about the MiG-15. In Russia, the MiG-15, they wanted to show off its abilities. They ran it on all sorts of different stuff. They ran it on gasoline. They ran it on propane. They ran it on a lot of different stuff just to show that it could. And one of the things, being as it's Russia, they had to prove that you could run it on vodka. And yes, the MiG-15 would run on vodka, literally. If you filled the tank up with vodka, you could fly it until you ran out of vodka. The Chrysler car, when they were showing it off, they actually showed that it could run on perfume. That car literally ran on Chanel number 5. Imagine that. Now, albeit I'm not taking other combustible fuels completely out of the mix. However, I am putting the possibility of having it run entirely on water and potentially run entirely on salt water. And I'm not talking about something that you pre-mix. I'm talking about if you're out on the ocean, you use this very same engine for running your boat out on the ocean just because you're sitting on top of salt water. Another thing is I designed a sail that's a little bit different from a standard sail. A standard square rig sail is a big top mast, and it's got basically a big pole that goes horizontally, and it holds onto your sails, and it's attached to the mast, and it also has one at the bottom in some cases, but not all. Sometimes the bottom of it's called a sheet. Sometimes the bottom of the sheet is actually just tied directly to the different pins that are all the way around the boat. And depending on which angle the wind is coming from, you're going to move those up and down the pins that are on either side of the boat. You're going to make them tighter or looser. For me, I designed a spinny topmast. Instead of having a sail that comes and has, the wind is coming from this direction and you don't want it hitting straight into the back of it because that's going to bury the front end of your ship into the water and slow you down. So what you want to do is you want to angle that just slightly, and the wind is actually going to push off of that sail and be redirected some. And that may not seem like it works better, but it actually does. You don't want to tack directly upwind or directly downwind. You want to tack to the left or to the right. Otherwise, you're going to get a dead wind and your vehicle is going to stop. Also, on a multi-mast ship, all of those masts are in a row. And those sheets that are in the center are the biggest. The ones in the rear are a little bit smaller and at the top. And the ones at the very front of the ship are the smallest, with the exception of a very, very large triangular sail at the front, or several of them, depending on what kind of a ship you have, like a cutter or a sloop. I don't even remember what this video is supposed to be about, so obviously I'm slightly enjoying it at this point to see what it's entirely about. It's probably about jet engines, though. I just don't remember specifically what part. Ah, yes, needing a can opener. That type of can opener, in order to get this part, there's an internal portion and an external portion. And I'll try to show you that actually. I'm going to show you what I'm doing right now also. I don't like cauliflower. I'm not a real big bacon fan, but I do like it. There's this meal that I got that you're supposed to keep it frozen, and I didn't. And it's cauliflower. So this is my special rig for cooking in here. It's not pretty. All right. You see that? That boat is my broccoli gets a nasty texture to it. I'd also like to be able to use my card and order one. There isn't enough money on the card to do that, apparently. This is a